Hey, Darren Sacks here in Boston with more tips for how to hone your double bass technique. I'm curious to know how many bass players out there have been told by someone that you know to play closer to the bridge and use flat hair. Look, I've been told that, and I know many of my students have been given this advice. And I believe every teacher has their own unique way of teaching, and I definitely don't want to seem like I'm bashing anyone's teaching style or teaching advice. In fact, there are a number of bass players out there, excellent bass players, who have championed playing close to the bridge and using flat hair. Gary Carr is one of these players, and he's absolutely terrific, a virtuosic double bass player, someone I have tremendous respect for. But, from my experience, most professional orchestra players out there simply do not play in this way. And if orchestra playing is the direction you're looking to go, even if it involves some solo playing, I highly recommend going with one that is more with something that's more formal and traditional. And, my concept of technique stems mostly from studying with orchestra players. So that's how I've been influenced. I studied with members of the Boston Symphony Orchestra while I was at Boston Conservatory. I studied with, with everyone. I studied with Larry Wolf, assistant principal double bass of the Boston Symphony. I've had the opportunity to be in master classes where Ed Barker was teaching the principal bass of BSO. Also, Todd Siebert and Jim Orleans, all of them, you name it, I've studied with all of them. So, I believe that if you're starting in first position, you really should choose a bowing area that is just below the fingerboard. Let me demonstrate here for you. I'm just going to pick up the bass for a second. Hopefully you can see. I'm going to bend the camera in a little bit here. So, a lot of my students, start out, they come to the lesson, and I see them playing down here, and I ask them, how come you're down here? How come you're using flat hair for the majority of your playing? See, I was always taught that you play just below the fingerboard when starting in first position as your sort of default mezzo forte sound. Also, what I usually do with my playing is I tend to actually play on the side of the hairs as well. And the reason for that is, A, you're going to get a better grip on the string. You'll be able to apply more contact and more weight into the string. And second, it prevents the bow from jumping around and losing contact there. You have to watch, because if you play with flat hair, the camber of the bow in many cases is going to get in the way at some point, because it does have some play to it. If you're trying to bow a soft passage, see, for me, I really have to work hard at it to play with flat hair, because of the fact that it feels like I have to sort of lift the bow off the string, and instead of applying my natural weight of my arm. In fact, if I attempt to do it just by applying natural weight, see, it feels like the bow is sort of jumping off the string, and I'm not able to apply real full contact into it. So if I play on the side of the hair, let me lower this a bit here. If I usually play on the side of the hair, and see, it allows me to get that even tone And the bow just, guys, I'm able to use more bow speed, and I get more resonance in the room that way. That's the kind of sound that I like. I like deep, rounded, dark, articulated tone, as opposed to one that is, to my ears, a bit bright, metallic, nasally. You get a lot of rosin noise when you play sustain notes directly with flat hair. Like I could hear the rosin crunching underneath the bow, and that's the sound you want to avoid getting. The less of that you can get, the better your tone will be. There are a number of ways that you can approach bow technique without always bowing closer to the bridge and using flat hair. There are 5 components of bow technique that I pay attention to personally. I always pay attention to bow position, so bow placement. We just discussed that. So close to the bridge, close to the fingerboard, on the fingerboard, in the middle of the bowing area. Bow speed is number 2, so how much horizontal motion you need to use. Bow pressure, so I always call it bow weight. So the amount of vertical motion that you put into the bow, amount of vertical weight you put into the string. Certainly the more weight that you put in means you may have to use more bow speed in order to get the string to respond. Number 4 would be the angle of the hair. So how much are you going to play with flat hair? Are you going to play on the side of the hair? Are you going to play on just 2 hairs? Maybe that's what the music calls for. Maybe you have to play literally on 1 or 2 hairs in order to achieve the sound that you're looking for. So there's a number of ways to play with that. And lastly, amount of rosin that you use plays a key role in this, because if you use a lot of rosin, you're going to get a beefier tone. Too much, you end up getting a very, very scratchy tone. But if you use too little, then your bass is just not going to project. The string will not respond to its full potential. You're going to even you'll encounter music on occasion that requires you to bow flat hair and close to the bridge. You might find this in Strauss. You might find this on occasion in Mahler, but you may even find areas where you even need to play just above the fingerboard. So soltato playing, sometimes you need to play right on the fingerboard. And there is actually one excerpt out there, I think it's a Verdi excerpt, it's Otello, the Otello excerpt, and that requires a very ominous, deep, dark, soft sound. You're really bringing the listener in. Once more, just so you can hear. So, remember my 5 variables. Remember to check your placement, the bow speed, weight, the tilt, or amount of hair that you're using, and the amount of rosin that you're using. I hope you found this video helpful, and just continue to adjust and continue to tweak all 5 components I mentioned until you achieve the sound that you're looking for under the bow. Thanks for watching.